Thank you. I would now like to introduce a debate, the presentation of the priorities of the Cyprus Presidency of the Council of the European Union with, I don't know if I can say my good friend, we have met before in Cyprus, Marilena Raouna. Very impressive minister. We met at the Bureau in Cyprus where she did a fantastic presentation, and I'm honoured to know she is here today to do the same presentation. Maybe there will be new additions to it, I don't know. But we are looking forward, as you know, to the Cypriot Presidency. I think it will be a really great presidency from all of the signs that I've seen already. So, as I said, we have huge testimony and importance of how Cyprus attached the presidency. They have prepared extremely well, and we are very honoured that they have worked very closely with our European Economic Social Committee. This cooperation is translating into concrete work. The Cypriot Presidency has invited the EESC to prepare 14 exploratory opinions, recognising the value of our expertise and our role as the voice of organised civil society. This work is now well underway and reflects, I think, our shared determination to ensure that the Presidency's priorities are informed by the perspective of citizens, workers, employers, civil society organisations. Among the wide range of topics covered by these opinions, there is work on tackling energy poverty through affordable and sustainable housing, our strengthening of Europe's water resilience through the Water Resilience Strategy and the European Climate Adaptation Plan. And I have to say, being in Cyprus for quite a bit, thanks to my colleagues in the Cypriot delegation, I think I'm really sympathetic hugely to the water crisis that you have in Cyprus. These are just examples, some, not all, that illustrate the concrete and people-centred nature of the issues being addressed. The Presidency's motto is an autonomous union, open to the world. Brilliant motto. Captures particularly the ambition of the Cypriot programme. It reflects the need for a union that is capable of acting independently when necessary, while remaining firmly and committed to cooperation, multilateralism and international law. The priority pillars of the Cypriot Presidency: security, preparedness, competitiveness, openness to the world, a union of values that leaves no one behind. And a strong long-term budget resonates strongly with the work and priorities of the EESC and with my own presidency programme, which is centred on the three pillars, you're tired of hearing it, a union of opportunities, a union of security, and a union of resilience. This is the greatest way to fight against inequality, poverty, social exclusion. As the House of Organised Civil Society, the EESC shares the Presidency's commitment to social cohesion, inclusion, sustainability and participation. We stand ready to support your Presidency in advancing policies that strengthen Europe's resilience, competitiveness, its values, while ensuring that no one is left behind and that citizens remain at the heart of the European project. Deputy Minister, we look forward with great interest to your presentation. You can count on a very full engagement here this morning, and I think you will speak from the podium, so the floor is yours, and thank you for being here. So we will give her a round of applause to get a bit of a start.
Good morning to all. President Bolland, honourable members of the European Economic and Social Committee, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honour for me to be here today to address the plenary on behalf of the Cyprus Presidency of the Council of the European Union. I had the great pleasure of meeting very many of you during your visit to Cyprus, where we had a first opportunity prior to assuming the presidency to discuss our priorities, because that is what I consider them to be, shared priorities. But if I may say, our cooperation and our close collaboration started many months ago when we worked together to prepare the request for the opinions, for the advisory opinions in key areas of our work programme that will feed the discussions at various levels. And I want to take this opportunity here to express on behalf of Cyprus our heartfelt appreciation for the opportunity, for your continued commitment to representing the organised civil society, the employers and employees communities that are at the heart of our European project and that should be and must be at the heart of European policies. Cyprus, as you know, assumed the presidency on the 1st of January as the last member state of the trio, together with Poland and Denmark. And we are well aware that we are assuming the presidency at a defining moment for our common European home. Europe is confronted with a rapidly evolving geopolitical and geo-economic landscape. War has returned to our continent. Strategic dependencies are increasingly weaponized. Global competition is intensifying. Climate change, migratory pressures, rapid technological transformations, and our citizens are faced in their daily lives with the consequences of this. And at the same time, this is a defining moment for Cyprus. The presidency of the Council for Cyprus is far beyond an institutional function prescribed by the treaties. It is a national mission and a national priority, a moment of pride, but above all, a moment of deep responsibility. As the Union's last member state that is under military occupation of European territory, Cyprus knows from lived experience to this day what lack of security means. It lives and breathes on a daily basis the consequences of the violation of territorial integrity and sovereignty. And as the member state at the southeastern frontier of the European Union, as I like to say, the European Union's lighthouse in the Eastern Mediterranean, Cyprus also knows what isolation means. It understands the critical importance of connectivity, physical, digital, and energy connectivity, and the connectivity of people, of course, as a prerequisite for cohesion, resilience, and equal participation in the Union. We also understand the importance of reducing the Union's strategic dependencies and enhancing our collective capacity to act with greater independence at moments of crisis. In essence, Cyprus knows and in many ways embodies resilience through adversity, perseverance, cooperation, and European solidarity. And we're fully aware of what this moment calls for, and that is action. Decisive, credible, united action. And we are ready to lead, to coordinate, to negotiate as true, honest brokers in an inclusive way with transparency, bringing on board stakeholders. We are ready to bridge divergences and advance our shared European agenda through solutions. With this sense of purpose and resolve, the Cyprus Presidency has defined its priorities with a clear objective: to advance a union that is more autonomous, yet at the same time open to the world. A more autonomous union will demonstrate the necessary internal strength to cooperate wherever possible, while also have the ability to act independently when it is necessary. Autonomy is outwardness. It does not mean retreat from global engagement nor isolation, quite the contrary. Building on this vision of autonomy, the Cyprus Presidency has structured its priorities around 5 interconnected pillars which guide our policy work. The first pillar is autonomy through security, defense, and readiness. Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine has fundamentally reshaped our understanding about security. The EU's steadfast support for Ukraine is not only an act of solidarity. It is about defending the core principles of international law: sovereignty, territorial integrity, prohibition of use of force. For Cyprus, as I've mentioned, these principles are not abstract. They are real, they are part of our daily experience as Cypriots, and this gives us a unique perspective and sensitivity with regards to Ukraine. The lessons from Ukraine reinforce a fundamental truth: violations of international law cannot be accepted, normalized, or forgotten. And a more autonomous union must be able to uphold these principles consistently, whether that concerns Ukraine or Greenland or anywhere else. The Presidency will stand firmly, unequivocally with Ukraine, continuing support on all fronts, while supporting international efforts for a peace that is just, viable and lasting, fully in line with the UN Charter. Security today is multi-layered and interconnected. That is why our Presidency will advance a comprehensive 360-degree approach to security. It will encompass beyond defence and preparedness and military mobility, areas of security such as maritime security, water security, economic security, migration. On maritime security, we know very well that in the Mediterranean and beyond, security travels by sea. Trade travels by sea, and energy routes travel by sea. And in this regard, during our Presidency, we will be working on the implementation of the EU Maritime Strategy. Security also starts from within, shielding our societies from foreign interference, disinformation, hybrid threats, and pressure on media freedom. Effective migration management is another core dimension of security. As a frontline member state, Cyprus will work towards a balanced and comprehensive approach with regards to migration management, addressing both the internal and external dimensions of migration. And in this regard, during our Presidency, we will have the implementation of the Pact of Asylum and Migration, and we will be advancing work on a number of key legislative proposals on migration, such as the Returns Regulation. Finally, managing critical resources is vital for resilience. Water security is emerging as a strategic challenge for Europe. It is central to climate adaptation, competitiveness, and crisis preparedness. For Cyprus, this is also a lived reality and hence an area of priority during our presidency. In this regard, we will work on advancing the implementation of the water resilience strategy. The second pillar of the Cyprus presidency is autonomy through competitiveness, because only a more competitive union can be a more autonomous union. Strategic autonomy requires economic strength, especially in a world of geo-economic competition and rapidly changing technologies. That is why our presidency is focused on completing and strengthening our single market, on simplifying legislation to support small and medium-sized enterprises that constitute the backbone of our economies, cutting red tape and reducing burdens in a balanced way, while fostering innovation, advancing green and digital transitions, and deepening our capital markets. Equally important is the EU's digital and energy autonomy through diversified supplier networks and routes, affordable and predictable energy prices, one of the great challenges faced by our citizens, modern infrastructure, and strong interconnections. Finally, our vision of competitiveness is inclusive. It includes all regions, from islands to peripheral areas, ensuring resilient connectivity, sustainable production, and strong agricultural and food systems. These priorities are not abstract policy debates. You know better than most that they directly affect jobs, growth, social cohesion. And for these priorities to have real impact, active engagement from both citizens and businesses across our union is essential. And the European social and economic community plays a central role in channeling their perspective into our policy work and into our discussions. Passing on to the third pillar of our priorities, a union open to the world. Autonomy does not mean introversion. It means a union that looks outwards, that is globally engaged and able to act from a position of strength. It is about strength that grows through partnership. And it starts with enlargement. From Ukraine and Moldova to the Western Balkans to Turkey. Enlargement has been and remains our most powerful geopolitical tool for promoting peace, stability, security, and prosperity. We will advance a credible, merit-based enlargement agenda that respects democratic standards and the rule of law, and I'm very pleased that we have already been able to plan the first intergovernmental conference under our presidency that will take place on the 26th of January on Montenegro's accession negotiations. At the same time, our engagement with our southern neighbourhood and the Gulf is one of strategic importance to the European Union for our security, for energy, for trade, for connectivity, for migration, and for regional stability. Cyprus knows firsthand, being an integral part of the Eastern Mediterranean, a member state that for many decades has developed excellent relations with all its neighbours that are based on trust and mutually beneficial cooperation. We know well that this region, the developments that take place there, have direct consequences for Europe. In this regard, we look forward during our presidency to advancing the implementation of the Pact for the Mediterranean during the informal European Council that will take place in Brussels, in Cyprus, 23rd and 24th of April. We will be welcoming to Cyprus the leaders of the 10 southern neighbourhood countries, and during the European Council, in a joint meeting, we will be announcing, together with the Commission, of course, the first projects that will be implemented under the 3 pillars of the Pact for the Mediterranean. One example of such a project is the European firefighting hub that will be established in Cyprus to cover the entire region to address the wildfires that are a growing phenomenon in the Eastern Mediterranean. In addition, we will support and advance an open, sustainable trade policy for our Union through a web of free trade agreements, negotiations for which are already underway, fully in line with international trade law and multilateralism. And we want and we will work to contribute to the EU's crisis response capacity, drawing on Cyprus's long-standing experience as a regional hub for evacuations at times of crisis and also for humanitarian aid. The fourth pillar of our priorities is a union of values that leaves no one behind. The EU is not only a single market or a single currency. Europe is values and the way we uphold and prioritise them and secure them for our citizens. And it is a promise that must be felt in the daily lives of our citizens. Europe's autonomy rests on the trust we yield in our citizens. We must continue to protect and strengthen rule of law, foster social cohesion, and respond to the citizens' daily concerns. In this context, affordable housing has become one of the most pressing social challenges across Europe. The same goes for Cyprus, but also for the majority of member states. And that is why we have placed affordable housing at the heart of this pillar. We will prioritise implementation of the European Affordable Housing Plan while fully respecting national competences and subsidiarity. And in this regard, in May, we will be hosting an informal ministerial council of the Ministers of Interior in Cyprus that will be focused exclusively on affordable housing. Children and young people will remain central to our policies, with our focus being on tackling child poverty, ensuring high-quality early childhood education, safeguarding children's well-being, and combating cyberbullying, protecting our children online. And we look forward to advancing the European action plan on cyberbullying. Gender equality, including protecting girls from cyber violence, as well as advancing disability rights, feature prominently during our presidency. And lastly, health security, which is essential for a resilient Europe. We will focus on improving access and availability of medical products, strengthening medical supply chains, and enhancing the integration of our health systems. These are all areas where your expertise and advisory role are indispensable, helping to ensure that our policies and actions reflect the realities and are both effective and grounded in true societal needs. And last but not least, our long-term budget. Strategic ambition must be matched by resources, and the next multi-annual financial framework will be essential in ensuring that we bridge ambition with delivery, from security, defence and competitiveness to sustainability, cohesion and resilience. We are committed to engaging constructively and transparently as true honest brokers with all partners to deliver a balanced, robust and ambitious framework for the Union's future. Our goal is, by the end of our presidency, to deliver a mature second negotiating box that will allow us to reach our political objective of having an agreement by the end of 2026. President Boland, honourable members, as President Christodoulidis stated back in November, when you were in Nicosia, the very first event of the Cyprus Presidency, and a positive omen, I hope, for what was to follow, our presidency is fully aligned with your inspiring vision for Europe that places civil society, active citizens and the business community at its very core. And with my presence here, I would like to assure you once again that the Cyprus Presidency will work hand in hand with you, with all EU institutions and key advisory bodies, with national governments, in a spirit of openness and sincere cooperation, with a truly European agenda to transform our joint goals and priorities into results that can be felt by our societies. And prior to closing, I would like to thank you once again on behalf of Cyprus for all your support and constructive cooperation in preparing the opinions that have been requested by our presidency. I look forward to our cooperation throughout the presidency as we work together for a union that listens more to its citizens, that supports civil society, and above all, that strengthens our unity and our collective resilience. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister Marilena. I appreciate your presentation and the care in which you took in the presentation. I think you've explained really well the priorities of Cyprus, and if I may say so, have done it very well. Just before I go to the floor, I would like to acknowledge the Cypriot members who are and the members of the EESC. I'd like to acknowledge Michalis Antonio, Panagotis Champas, Andreas Mastas, Mantos Mavromatas, Piers Pieri, and Anastasis Yapanis. because they do tremendous work as your delegation for Cyprus, and I would like to acknowledge them in your presence and to thank them for the work they're doing as members of this House. So, members, I now open the floor for debate, and I invite Sandra Pathy, President of Group 1, to take the floor. The microphone is yours, Sandra.
Thank you very much, President, and thank you also very much, Minister Raouna, dear Marilena. Thank you. I'm over here, in case you're looking for me. Congratulations on assuming the helm of the EU Council at a time that is marked by geopolitical upheaval. But having had the pleasure to meet and exchange with you during our visit in Cyprus, I believe that helm is in good and capable hands. So we wish you all the best for your 6 months. As President of the EESC's Employers Group, I very much commend your priorities, which of course match Europe's urgent needs, from advancing competitiveness, the focus on security, on autonomy and readiness, to the multi-annual financial framework, the water and maritime issues, and not least the steadfast support for Ukraine. Your focus on the EU being competitive and capable of acting independently when needed is spot on. We cannot control what governments outside the EU do, but we can act together to get our own house in order and ready. And that also includes giving Europe's true powerhouses, our SMEs, the space to contribute to the readiness and preparedness agenda, instead of burdening them with red tape and disjointed rules. My message to you is follow Mr. Draghi. Leverage your presidency to advance the single market, simplify compliance, accelerate the capital markets union, close the tech gap with the US and China, building on AI value chains. Security demands alignment. Back Ukraine's reconstruction as an industrial boon for EU firms. Dear Ms. Raouna, Cyprus' small size might be an asset, an honest broker for omnibus deals. Employers stand ready as partners. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Sandra, well done. And I now go to Mr. Mastas, the delegate from Cyprus. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Please use your headsets. I will be speaking in my native tongue. Otherwise, it will all be Greek to you. Κύριε Υφυπουργέ, καλημέρα. Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ για την ολοκληρωμένη παρουσίασή σας σε σχέση με τους βασικούς άξονες, οι οποίοι θα απασχολήσουν την Κυπριακή Προεδρία. Ευχαριστούμε και για τη δυνατότητα που δώσατε, τον ρόλο στους κοινωνικούς εταίρους κατά τη διάρκεια της προετοιμασίας της Προεδρίας, αλλά και στην περίοδο της εφαρμογής της, έτσι ώστε να αναδείξουμε τον ρόλο της συλλογικότητας των κοινωνικών εταίρων και την ενίσχυση της δημοκρατίας σε όλα τα επίπεδα. Έχετε αναφερθεί στην Προεδρία ως εθνική αποστολή. Και αυτό από μόνο του αναδεικνύει την έννοια και την αξιακή αρχή η οποία δίνεται και στην υπευθυνότητα με την οποία προσεγγίζουμε την Προεδρία, αλλά παράλληλα και στο ρόλο που μπορεί να διαδραματίσει ένα μικρό κράτος μέλος όπως είναι η Κύπρος. Έχετε μιλήσει για τον φάρο. Ο φάρος είναι καθοδηγητής, οριοθετεί το πλαίσιο και μπορεί να αποτελέσει σημείο αναφοράς ανεξάρτητα από το μέγεθος των κρατών μελών. Και θα ήθελα να σταθώ σε δύο βασικούς άξονες της Προεδρίας που αποτελούν σημείο αναφοράς αλλά και πρόκληση. Οριοθετούμε το πλαίσιο στη βάση του έντιμου διαμεσολαβητή, αναδεικνύοντας την ημικατοχή της πατρίδας μας, αλλά παράλληλα και τον ρόλο που μπορούμε να διαδραματίσουμε στο αναπροσαρμοζόμενο γεωπολιτικό πλαίσιο, τόσο σε σχέση με τη συνεχιζόμενη εισβολή της Ρωσίας στην Ουκρανία, αλλά παράλληλα και την πρόκληση η οποία βρίσκεται σε εξέλιξη σε σχέση με τη Γρυλανδία. Είναι ένας ρόλος που η Κύπρος μπορεί να διαδραματίσει σε σχέση με τη διαχείριση του προβλήματος μέσα από τη δική της προσωπική εμπειρία. Και αυτό νομίζω ότι μπορούμε να το διασυνδέσουμε και με τον ρόλο που αναδεικνύει η Κυπριακή Προεδρία σε σχέση με τη Μεσόγειο. Είναι βασικός στόχος και πυλώνας προσέγγισης η δημιουργία του νέου συμφώνου για τη Μεσόγειο, έτσι ώστε να μπορέσουμε να δημιουργήσουμε τη διασύνδεση του χώρου που ενώνει το Ισλάμ με την υπόλοιπη Ευρώπη, να δημιουργήσουμε προοπτική ανάπτυξη στην ενεργειακή αυτονόμηση της Ευρώπης και παράλληλα να δημιουργήσουμε ουσιαστική δυνατότητα διαχείρισης του προβλήματος που συνδέεται με τη μετανάστευση. Το δεύτερο σημείο που θα ήταν σημαντικό να αναπτύξουμε είναι η πρόκληση την οποία θα κληθεί να διαχειριστεί η Κυπριακή Δημοκρατία σε σχέση με το πολυετές δημοσιονομικό πλαίσιο. Και εδώ θα πρέπει να μπορέσουμε να εξισορροπήσουμε ανάμεσα στην οικονομική ανάπτυξη με μια κοινωνική όμως διάσταση και προσέγγιση, έτσι ώστε όλα τα ζητήματα που βρίσκονται ανοιχτά ενώπιόν μας να τύχουν επαρκούς διαχείρισης, τόσο σε σχέση με την ανταγωνιστικότητα, με την ανάπτυξη της οικονομίας, τη στεγαστική πολιτική, αλλά παράλληλα και με την κοινωνική δικαιοσύνη και συνοχή. Θα έχουμε τη δυνατότητα να πούμε πολλά περισσότερα στην Κύπρο. Κλείνω γιατί ο χρόνος μας έχει ξεπεράσει, ευχαριστώντας σας ξανά για την ολοκληρωμένη παρουσίασή σας.
Thank you very much. I now go to the President of Group 3, Gillian Lohan. The floor is yours.
Thank you, President. Thank you, Minister, for joining us today and for clearly setting out the priorities of the Cypriot Presidency. We, of course, support your programme, which addresses what is at stake in today's complex geopolitical context, as you've described. I think now more than ever, Europe must be united and have confidence in our own strengths, the single market, our currency, and our weight as a main world trade actor. As evidenced by events in Strasbourg yesterday, we also must get better at clear decision-making to emphasise our role as this trusted trade partner. The EU is also built on fundamental values enshrined in Article 2. Freedom, democracy, equality, rule of law, which for us clearly remain non-negotiable. Therefore, your call for an autonomous, open and democratic union perfectly aligns with our priorities, which include preparedness, resilience, in particular resilient communities, and an ambitious social and sustainable agenda. Allow me to highlight briefly 2 points of particular importance. The MFF, which is absolutely central to Europe's collective ambition. A credible union requires a solid and adequate budget. And our cooperation with you, the Cypriot Presidency, through the full set of exploratory opinions which we look forward to developing and ensuring that we have a strong impact and added value. So, dear Minister, for us the full involvement of civil society is essential. That's why we continue more than ever to call for stronger and more systematic participation of civil society all across major European policies. So in that context, we welcome and strongly support the emphasis in your programme on the implementation of the democracy package. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you very much. And now I go to one of the Cyprus delegates, Mantos Mavromatis. The floor is yours and your hand is up.
Madam Minister, let me welcome you to our committee myself. Your attention today is, of course, on the north of Europe, Greenland, and the northeast of Europe, Ukraine, for obvious and valid reasons. Let us not forget, however, the challenges, negative or positive, coming from the south and the southeast, and I refer to the Mediterranean basin and our southern neighbourhood. The Pact for the Mediterranean, as you mentioned already, for which Cyprus is in a unique position to meet. As an example, I would specifically refer to the dangers of external migration from North Africa on one hand, as well as the opportunities for trade with the Gulf countries and India on the other hand. And I would welcome your comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I go to Thomas Katnick, who is... Take the floor, please.
Thank you, Seamus. I will switch into German. Please take your headphones. Sehr geehrte Frau Ministerin, ich bedanke mich herzlich, dass Sie uns Ihre Prioritäten der Ratspräsidentschaft präsentiert haben und die Möglichkeit uns geben, auch gemeinsam zu diskutieren. Eine autonome und weltoffene Union ist Ihr Motto. Und ich denke, angesichts der jüngsten weltpolitischen Entgleisungen und geopolitischen Verwerfungen scheint es ganz entscheidend wichtig zu sein, hier als Europäische Union auch entsprechend Tritt zu fassen und diese beiden Ziele miteinander in Einklang zu bringen. Die Europäische Union muss an Stärke zulegen. Wir müssen auch neue Partner finden, ganz ihrem Motto auch folgend. Ein autonomes Europa kann allerdings nur Realität werden, wenn sich unsere Union endlich über die eigene Rolle im Klaren wird. Nur wenn wir unserem Bekenntnis zu einer rechtebasierten Wertegemeinschaft, einem eigenen gemeinsamen Auftreten, unserer Verteidigungsfähigkeit, aber auch einem sozialen Zusammenhalt sichern und strategische Autonomie erlangen, kann Europa auch ein glaubwürdiger und ernstzunehmender Akteur werden. Wie wichtig das ist, zeigen Sie in Ihrem Programm. Von der Stärkung unserer Sicherheit bis zum Ausbau grüner Technologien gibt es zahlreiche Bereiche, in denen die Union ihre Stimme finden muss und für ihre Bürgerinnen und Bürger auch abliefern muss. Als organisierte Zivilgesellschaft tragen wir gerne dazu bei. Ein weltoffenes Europa muss aber auf einem starken Fundament auch basieren. Das heißt, die demokratischen Grundsätze müssen entsprechend verteidigt werden. Wir müssen Angriffe auf die Demokratie bekämpfen. Wir müssen wichtige Signale aussenden, wenn es darum geht, Gleichstellung der Geschlechter sicherzustellen, jede Form der Diskriminierung zu bekämpfen. Und das muss unser Anspruch sein. Eine autonome und weltoffene Union ist gerade heute wichtiger denn je. Es ist ein Versprechen, ein Gegenmodell gegen Autokraten, die Hass und Dominanz und Toleranz und Solidarität nach hinten stellen. Und demzufolge ist es wichtig, sehr geehrte Frau Ministerin, dass wir als Europäische Union hier stark auftreten. Ich hatte bereits das Vergnügen, mit einigen Ihrer Vertreterinnen auch an thematischen Sitzungen teilzunehmen. Ich denke, gemeinsam als organisierte Zivilgesellschaft können wir Ihre Ratspräsidentschaft unterstützen und weiterbringen. Vielen Dank.
Thank you very much, Thomas. I now go to Elena Calistro, President of the ECO Section EESC. Elena.
Thank you, President, and thank you, Minister, for being here. It's good to see you again. Well, because I'm head of the ECO section, I will sound like a broken record, and of course talk about the importance. I am here, short, and I will sound like a broken record, and of course talk about the MFF. I think that it is important for us to acknowledge the great effort you have ahead of you, and also to urge you to facilitate a real participation for civil society when it comes to these negotiations. I think that your team is already doing a great job. We had excellent people coming in our hearings, also on MFF, on the cohesion, and I must commend this and thank you. However, something that we hold very dear is a continuous engagement along the negotiations, and I know we're going to have an ally with you, and this is something that is entirely important for this House. We think that also making sure that there will be enough resources for cohesion, for programs that fund civil society, for ECF+, it will be important not in terms of nostalgia and making sure the European Union stays as it was, but because these are stabilizers. As you mentioned, this is also a union of values, and we must make sure that we have enough resources for those actors that defend our values, whether if we're talking about local authorities, civil society, and social partners. The same applies to participation. It's not just a ticking box, and I think that you proved this with the way in which you approached this presidency, but I think you can also do more in inspiring others to act like this. Last but not least, I think your program is ambitious, but I think that this is what keeps Europe a great one, and this is what makes Europe a place that people and countries want to join, and not a place that forces people to get in there. So best of luck, and we'll look forward to continue our work with you.
Thank you very much, Elena. I now go to Stefan Malia, The floor is yours.
Good morning, Minister, and thank you for being here. It's good to see you again. I think most of us in this room have heard the excellent speech given by the Canadian Prime Minister in Davos. And he spoke about removing the sign from the window to show that we are no longer compliant and complacent. But frankly, I think I'm more in favor of putting up a new sign which will give 4 messages. 1, we are the European Union. 2, we have been doing business for centuries. 3, we are in this for the long game. And 4, we are a continent that is confident that when the chips are down, we invariably deliver as we have been doing for centuries. It's true. We have maybe become too comfortable and we need to change. And I think this is why we need to get the single market done, to give us the strength that we need. But we also need to ask ourselves, just with who does the US think is going to do business? Is it going to do business with Russia, a failing economy? Is it going to do business with China, its archenemy? I think that the European Union's economy is just too important for the US, just as the US is important for us. This is not the first time, Madam Deputy Minister, that the world order has changed. We all know our history. So please, my plea to you is that during your presidency, please put up a sign in the shop that says, we are the European Union and we're here to stay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Stefano. I now go to Christian Baumler, Germany. Christian, your floor is yours, just there.
Thanks, Mr. President. I will continue in German. Sehr geehrte Frau Ministerin, ich bedanke mich auch ganz herzlich für Ihre Rede. Ich denke, dass Sie da durchaus sehr nahe beim kanadischen Premierminister gewesen sind, der ja uns dazu aufgerufen hat, eben auf der Grundlage unserer Werte Politik zu machen. So realistisch diese Politik natürlich auch sein muss. Und dazu gehört natürlich auch das europäische Sozialmodell, dazu gehört ein soziales Europa. Ihr Satz, dass niemand alleine gelassen werden darf, hat mir da voll aus dem Herzen gesprochen. Ich bin auch der Meinung, wir dürfen Zypern nicht alleine lassen. Sie haben ja zu Recht darauf hingewiesen, dass ein Teil Zyperns besetzt ist. Das ist ein Teil Europas, ein Teil der Europäischen Union. Und wir dürfen diesen Konflikt nicht immer verdrängen. Die Besetzung Nordzyperns ist eine offene Wunde. Das ist ein Einfallstor für organisierte Kriminalität, für Schleuserkriminalität, für Zwangsprostitution und Geldwäsche. Deswegen möchte ich Sie durchaus ermutigen, die Chancen der Präsidentschaft, die Sie jetzt haben, zu nutzen. Sie wissen ja, dass in Nordzypern eine überwältigende Mehrheit der Menschen dort nicht den Kandidaten Erdogans gewählt hat, sondern einen Kandidaten, der für eine Annäherung an die Europäische Union und für eine föderale Struktur ist. Ich denke, das ist eine Chance, die Sie nutzen sollten, auch mit Unterstützung aller anderen europäischen Länder. Denn an diesem Beispiel Zypern zeigt es sich, wie glaubwürdig wir unsere Werte vertreten, wie glaubwürdig wir auch im Konflikt mit Russland im Hinblick auf die Ukraine oder auch bei anderen Konflikten sind. Denn Werte sind unteilbar und sie gelten eben für jeden Konflikt. Dankeschön.
Thank you very much, Christian. And I now go to Inyot Sibian. The floor is yours, Inyot.
Thank you for the extended presentation you delivered today to us. I will speak about Agora program that is part of the MFF package, and we recently delivered an opinion on this, and I would like to kindly ask you to support our request of establishing a formal working group on civil dialogue over the Agora EU program. We have in this sense an amendment to the regulation, and we think that civil society should be part of the dialogue during the implementation of the program. The second point that I would like to make is an appeal to you to stop the withdrawal of the European Cross-Border Association Directive. The directive will create a new legal form within the national legislation for organization with members from at least 2 member states. While the directive has been approved in the Parliament and here in the House with a very positive opinion, it has been obstructed in the Council, and now the Commission has proposed a withdrawal of the directive within 6 months. We are asking you to relaunch the discussion in the Council and to keep this important piece of legislation for the third sector in the European Union. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Inuit. I now go to Marcin Nowacki. The floor is yours.
Good morning. I'm here. Marcin Nowacki. I'm from Poland, President of the 10th section, the section responsible for transport, energy, infrastructure, information society, space. I'm glad, coming from Poland, that you put security in the center of the presidency, and actually this is the key issue for the whole trio. Speaking about security, I want to address the energy security, which is no longer just an economic issue. It is a strategic imperative. Europe's future competitiveness will depend on our ability to secure stable and affordable energy supplies. Today, an industry, all of us, shareholders, employees, are fighting on every front. Rising costs, global competition, tariffs, and growing technological demands. In this landscape, access to reliable energy is becoming the decisive factor for success. This is why we must build an open and resilient energy market, one that encourages investment, fosters innovation, and remains neutral to technology. No single solution will carry us forward. Instead, we must support diverse energy resources, modern infrastructure, and smart regulation. The level of urgency is higher than ever before. So if you undertake any initiatives, discussions on energy security, we, as members of the 10th section, are at your disposal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcin, and I should have introduced you as President of the 10 section, so well done. Thank you for that. I now go to Jurag Sipko, my good colleague for many years. Jurag, the floor is yours.
Yes, Mr. President, thank you for giving me a floor. Good morning for everybody. I highly appreciate the intervention from Madam Minister here. It's very comprehensive one. But when we are talking about what we should do, we should ask ourselves where we are now. We really don't know, but we know that we are under high level of uncertainty, which is predictable worsening. From this point of view, I would like to ask you, Madam, if you will so very kind and explain how to continue with competitiveness in line with creation, investment, and union, as well as capital market union, and then how do you expect as a roadmap to deepening of internal market? And my last question would be, we are living under the process of losing multilateralism, which has been built for more than 18 years. How do you see the role under your presidency in order to build multilateralism as the main principle for liberalization of trade, flow of capital, movement of people, and for standard of living all over the planet? Thank you.
Thank you, Jurag. And now another long-time colleague, Milena Angelova from Bulgaria. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, President. Madam Deputy Minister, congratulations for the decisive, comprehensive, forward-looking priorities of the Cyprus Presidency that you presented so good to us. I would like to relate my intervention to two of them. First of all, as rapporteur of the exploratory opinion on the European life sciences and rare diseases, we are preparing the document. We are almost ready, looking forward to the high-level conference on 5th and 6th of March. We would like really to ask the Cyprus Presidency, as a result, to finally put forward a European action plan for the rare diseases. The second priority that you presented is related to migration, and in our previous opinion, we see that there is is a general lack of understanding, confusion and misuse of terminology when addressing the climate-related migration. So we would like to see the Cyprus Presidency advancing on giving a unified definition on climate migration, and also tackle one of the most important root causes in connection to this, the water stress, or, as UN already branded it as of yesterday, the water bankruptcy. So please take our Blue Deal declaration and help us advance in implementing those principles. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we go to Orlando de Silva Monteiro. The floor is yours.
Thank you, President. I'll speak in Portuguese. Estimados membros e Secretária de Estado Raouna, felicito a Presidência cipriota pela identificação de prioridades ambiciosas. Contudo, quando alargamos a nossa perspectiva, torna-se evidente, em minha opinião, uma lacuna estratégica: a diplomacia como princípio orientador. A diplomacia deve ser o magma que molda, sustenta e viabiliza as prioridades propostas pela Presidência. É também a arte de apaziguar enquanto se ganha tempo para agir. A diplomacia, nas suas diversas dimensões, é o meio através do qual a Europa, um projeto de paz, protege os seus interesses, mitiga divergências e projeta estabilidade num mundo de incerteza. Uma diplomacia assente numa comunicação coerente e coordenada e não errática e imediatista. Por isso, integrar explicitamente a diplomacia como prioridade não diluiria as restantes. Pelo contrário, reforçá-las-ia, garantindo que a visão de uma Europa autónoma seja mais do que um slogan, uma verdadeira realidade política. Na expectativa dos comentários, agradeço. Muito obrigado.
Thank you very much. And I now go to Felipe Martin Medina. The floor is yours.
Muchas gracias, presidente. Me gustaría preguntar sobre los objetivos concretos de la presidencia de Chipre relacionados con la simplificación normativa, esencial para la competitividad de las empresas grandes, medianas y pequeñas en toda Europa. Este comité está elaborando varios dictámenes sobre las diferentes propuestas ómnibus lanzadas por la Comisión Europea, que tienen por objeto principal el de simplificar la normativa y reducir la carga burocrática. El sentimiento general que percibimos durante la elaboración de estos dictámenes es que las propuestas de la Comisión van en general bien encaminadas, pero resultan por ahora algo insuficientes. Hay sectores concretos de nuestra economía que no han visto aún propuestas de mejora realmente constatables. Hay mucho consenso en esto. Por tanto, ¿qué planes tiene la presidencia chipriota para hacer que la Comisión siga trabajando en materia de simplificación normativa y vaya mucho más lejos en su ambición por simplificar las normas y mejorar la competitividad de nuestra economía? Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Philippe. And to Agnes Schär from Hungary, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, President. And first of all, I would like to congratulate sorry, I will turn into Hungarian, I forgot to tell you. Hi, I'm here. Gratulálok a programjukhoz, különösen az egészségügyi részhez és a gyermekek védelmét illetően. Arra kérem önöket, hogy segítsék, hogy biztos asszony, az Európai Unió Bizottságának elnöke, van der Leyen, kihagyta a ritka betegség akciótervet Várhelyi biztos úr programjából. Felmutatom, itt van. Júniusban, 24-ben a tanács elfogadta, hogy akciótervet kell készíteni a ritka betegségek megoldására. Ebben kérjük önök segítségét, mert a mi testületünk úttörő ebben a témában, és Stella Kyriakidis biztos asszony kiváló partner volt, hogy segítse a ritka betegségben szenvedőket. Köszönöm.
Thank you very much, Agnes, and thank you all for your contributions. I know Marilena, Deputy Minister, was writing very hard during those conversations and taking a lot in. So I now hand you the floor to reply. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all your invaluable input and feedback on our priorities. And I think you've touched on all the main topics. The agenda we've set, a number of you have said it, it's ambitious, but 2 points on this. One, now is the time for the European Union to be ambitious because there is such an urgent need to deliver. And looking at our inherited agenda, we have over 330 legislative files, and I think that is reflective of the moment we are in and the work that needs to be done. But we are also realistic in our ambition, and our priority is to be able to deliver concretely on the core files that we have in front of us. Yesterday, President Christodoulidis was at the plenary in Strasbourg to present the priorities. And a point he made that I think sometimes we forget is that the European Union is the greatest political project. It's a peace project, it's an economic project, it's a trade project, it's a union that in the midst of this remarkable instability and shift and unpredictability that we are experiencing stands out as that international partner that is stable, that is reliable, that is trustworthy, that stays firm on its values and that remains committed to multilateralism and international law. It is part of what makes us the greatest place to live. Sometimes we forget our power. A bloc of 450 million citizens, the biggest economic and trading bloc. And so what we see in the cracks of these shifting plates that we are observing, we see and we must collectively see opportunity. Opportunity for further integration, and that is how we see autonomy, as the next necessary step in European integration. And European integration means also the single market, it means the capitals and investments union, it means finally an energy union. And on energy, during our presidency, we have a number of very important legislative proposals that will be advanced, such as the EU grids package, which is vital for our connectivity, and Cyprus, given its energy isolation, understands very well the importance of advancing energy connectivity. We will also have the architecture of security of supply and energy union, both for gas and electricity during our presidency. So, above all, this is a moment of opportunity for the Union to become stronger from within and to deliver for our citizens. On a number of points that were made. With regards to competitiveness, we had the Draghi report, and one core message is that there is no more time to lose. We need to boost European competitiveness with a sense of urgency. We have a number of omnibus packages that have been put on the table by the European Commission. Our Danish partners did a very good job in advancing them. Based on that work, we expect progress in trialogues on the fourth omnibus, on small mid-caps, on the fifth one, defence, on the sixth one, chemicals. We also aim to reach general approaches on some of the most recent but also upcoming omnibuses, because we are also expecting a number of new omnibus packages: the food and feed safety, environment, digital, the automotive omnibus. And rest assured that the work is accelerating in the Council, and also importantly, we have been for a while now reaching out also to the European Parliament, our co-legislator, to ensure that working together, these legislative files, once the work is done at the Council, they can progress also at the European Parliament. There were a couple of mentions on the importance of the Mediterranean, the Eastern Mediterranean, the Pact for the Mediterranean. Obviously, Cyprus is an EU member state that is at the same time a Mediterranean country. What does every presidency brings to the table? Something new. The priorities that we have across the board as presidencies, they are broadly the ones we know. They are security and defense, they are competitiveness, energy. Those are the strategic priorities, the strategic agenda of the European Union. But what each member state brings to the table is its own perspective. And Cyprus, through its presidency, will work on these priorities while broadening the lens through which we see them. What does that mean in practice when it comes to the Mediterranean, to the Pact? It means that when we talk about competitiveness, when we talk about EU trade and expanding our network of trade agreements, we need to put into the equation this region, the southern neighbourhood and the Gulf. Why? Because they are an integral part of advancing our collective priorities, whether that concerns competitiveness, trade, energy diversification. And it's an agenda that Cyprus, together with other member states, has advanced consistently over the years. And we are very pleased that for the first time, we have a commissioner portfolio on the Mediterranean. We have the Pact for the Mediterranean, which is a very important framework that is not just declaratory in nature, but which in fact aims to operationalize this cooperation on energy, on trade, on people-to-people contacts. And we see this region of the Eastern Mediterranean, that the narrative that is prominent about this region is that it is a region of challenge. And yes, this region has challenges, but above all, it is also a region of opportunity. And drawing on our experience as Cyprus of close cooperation in this region, we will advance the implementation of projects for the Pact for the Mediterranean. We see complementarity between the Pact for the Mediterranean and the India-Middle East corridor. Although the Gulf is not currently part of the Pact for the Mediterranean, we see the IMEC as complementing it and also as being part of the evolution of the Pact. There are two very important FTAs that are being negotiated, more than two, but I will stand on these two. We have the FTA on India, and that would be a historic FTA to complete for the European Union. We have the negotiations underway for a free trade agreement with the United Arab Emirates, also very important. And on both of those free trade agreements, we expect and we will work on significant progress and, why not, conclusion also of these FTAs. Migration. We are a frontline member state when it comes to migration, but we are also a member state that over the last 3 years of the current government, through specific targeted policies, but also through integrating into our approach the external aspect of migration, which means working with our partners in the region that are countries of origin or countries of transit, and through partnerships addressing the question of migratory flows. We will have the implementation of the Pact for Asylum and Migration. As I've mentioned, we will have the returns regulation, the negotiations. We will have also the safe third countries of origin and safe third countries. And all of this together, and building on our experience, and building also on partnerships with third countries. Only a few weeks ago, we had the first EU summit with Jordan. We had months ago the first EU summit with Egypt. These are countries that are pillars of stability that need to be supported by the European Union, and it's also related to the issue of migratory flows. On the MFF, yes, we have new priorities as a European Union, defence and security, and we need to invest more. And I think if there is a silver lining in the developments that we are seeing and the new dynamics, the silver lining would be that we have been geared into action when it comes to boosting our defence, to boosting our security. But at the same time, we cannot omit our existing, fundamental policies, which is the cohesion policy, which is the common agricultural policy, which is delivering for our citizens on issues such as affordable housing, on issues of health. And when I said that we will work on a balanced MFF, this is exactly what I meant, that we need to ensure that this MFF addresses in a comprehensive and balanced way across the board all our policies. Am I short on time? Yes, I am short on time. A last point on and closing with this, there was a point made on diplomacy being at the forefront. Diplomacy runs horizontally across all our priorities, whether that concerns security, whether that concerns our trade agreements, that is also about diplomacy, whether that concerns our engagement with the southern neighbourhood, or whether that concerns enlargement. Diplomacy and dialogue as a European Union is what we do best. In closing, I would like to thank the committee, all the members. I would like to thank the Cypriot members for their invaluable contribution and support in the committee, and also for the Cyprus Presidency, and assure you that in the Cyprus Presidency you have a trusted partner. Thank you very much.
Because of time constraints, I'll confine a very short conclusion. First of all, Deputy Minister Marilena, thank you for your incredibly articulate presentation of the Cypriot priorities. I think you mixed very well the State of the Union with some Cypriot priorities, which I think is fair and accurate. I particularly welcome your proposal on housing and to have an event on that issue during the presidency. I'd like to confirm and reaffirm that the European Economic Social Committee has a strong commitment to supporting the priorities on every level possible, and we will, with the exploratory opinions present, I believe, new ideas, new commitments and new priorities that will complement the work of your presidency, which I believe will be very strong. So with that, I again thank you sincerely for being here today. We now have a bipartite meeting, very short one, I know, and I thank you for allowing that time. In that case, I will hand over the chair of this meeting in good hands to Elena, my Vice President, who will continue with the rest of the meeting. But again, a round of applause for our Deputy Minister and guests. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And now we will move to a discussion and adoption of several opinions linked to the multi-annual financial framework 2028-2034. And you might notice that we are dealing with the opinions linked to MFF at this plenary session. Some were already adopted yesterday and some will be adopted now. In a nutshell, we ask the MFF to be ambitious, and we've just heard that we are in line with the Cypriot Presidency. The Deputy Minister for EU Affairs of Cyprus, she just mentioned that it's one of their priorities. We want the MFF to be clear in governance and to be fair, that every region and every citizen feels part of the European project. We will continue pushing for these criteria to be at the core of the negotiations, and I look forward to today's discussion and want to thank all members and all sections that were involved in this huge undertaking. So now we will start a discussion on ECHO 6H2, the Multi-Annual Financial Framework 2028-2034, and I ask all three rapporteurs to be present here with us. They will present the opinion. Each of you will have 2 minutes, and I will ask who wish to take the floor the first. So we have rapporteurs Konstantinos Diamantouros, Domenica Biegon, and Luca Jaillet. Who's the first one to take the floor? Okay, Luca, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I was not aware I would have been the first, but sometimes being the third is good to become the first. So, dear colleagues, this opinion delivers a very clear message. The proposed MFF for the next 28-34 is not fit enough for the challenges Europe is facing. We are living through a moment of strategic competition, climate urgency, digital transformation, social tension, and growing security risk, all unfolding against a deep crisis of multilateralism. And yet the Commission proposed only a marginal increase in the EU budget. Once inflation and the repayment of the next generation EU are taken into account, this means that in real terms the EU budget risks shrinking. That is not strategic autonomy, that is strategic denial. The EESC is therefore unequivocal. The next MFF must substantially increase real resources relative to